Ashton Hampton is an underrated prospect that I personally believe is going to rise up draft boards and become one of the top cornerbacks taken off the board. Former three-star recruit, was scouted as either a safety, even played some wide receiver in high school as well. Ultimately commits to Clemson as a three-star, the 98th ranked player in Florida, the 76th ranked safety in the 2024 class. He enters into Clemson, and listen, going to Clemson, that's one of the more talented, one of the more five-star, four-star flooded schools in the entire college football. And this guy goes out there in his freshman season, puts together 461 snaps, and plays some pretty damn impressive football. And now, year two, he got better. Now, we'll get to some pros, we'll get to some negatives, a lot of inconsistency, but for the most part, had a lot of good tape out there last year. That entire Clemson defense kind of disappointed last year. And Ashton Hampton, I think, was a bright spot there, despite the fact there was some flaws to his game. So let's talk about him. 6'2", 200 pounds. I think he is a prospect worth betting on. Right now, he is far from a finished product, but you watch him on tape, it is hard to teach what he has. He is athletic. He is physical. He uses his hands sometimes a little too much, but when he is on point, it's really fun to watch. He is physical at the line of scrimmage. He will press you. He will push you out. Receivers have a hard time getting off of him. You watch that game versus LSU. He was handsy on him. Now, we'll talk about a back-to-back sequence against LSU that I thought was pretty interesting. But in general, like, he has reps out there where he will bully you, where his long frame and his long stature will help him get back into plays that maybe he was slightly out of position on. I think he is very competitive at the catch point. He uses that length. He's smooth. He's fluid. He's athletic, all that sort of stuff. Not to mention, he's also very versatile. We talked earlier about how he plays some safety in high school. Clemson used him all over the field, and there's some thought inside Clemson that he might even be able to play some safety for this team or some nickel. He's kind of one of those guys that is athletic enough and fluid enough to play whatever position. Where he really does struggle is from a play-to-play consistency. There are some snaps where he will go out there and he'll press a dude out of bounds, and it'll look beautiful. And there's other reps where he will be a little bit too handsy. For example, in the game versus LSU, it was inside the red zone. He had a red zone fade where he just did not let go of the guy. The very next play, they run a high-low concept right at him, and he plays it perfectly, absolutely puts a hit on the tight end for a pass breakup. And you see that pretty consistently throughout his film, where it's like, great play here, bad play here. If he can just clean it up and be a bit more consistent play in and play out, the talent is through the roof. I also thought he allowed a couple quick wins. When he doesn't get his hands on you, when he's in press, he'll be out of position a little bit. Again, that's partly why I like his size and his makeup and his athleticism, because even when he does miss, he is mobile enough and fluid enough to get back in the right position. And I want to see him get some more interceptions in general. Last year, only one interception. I want to see him be a little bit more involved and whatnot. And he gave up over 300 yards last year. Let's clean that up. But a lot to like about this player. 6'2", 200 pounds, long, lengthy, athletic. Let's bring in B-Ross. As a former NFL corner himself, not quite 6'2", 200 pounds, so you didn't have the same skill set or tools as this guy. But what did you think of Ashton Hampton and his overall level of play?
No, man, you hit it on the head. He was a very interesting watch, just play to play, game to game, because to your point, he has stuff that I think only maybe two other guys have in terms of size, length, and speed for their size. Like he can move. He has really good hands when he connects at the line of scrimmage. He can play man in zone. He can line up for small receivers, big receivers. Like, for a big guy, he moves really well. Like, the yardage actually didn't bother me because he didn't give up like a ton of explosives. He might give up a lot of catches, but it wasn't like he's getting hit for 50, 60 yards a pop, right? 300 yards over the course of like 12 games is, like the average is not that bad. So that didn't even bother me with him. To your point, I would love for him to get his hands on the ball a little bit more. I think he's going to run well. I think he does a phenomenal job of using his length in terms of playing the ball and playing through contact at the top of routes. But at the same time, all that plays against him at times because he relies on his length or he relies on his athleticism, and his feet get lazy at the top of routes, so he holds. That was the one thing that dragged me down. He is going to hold, and it's a matter of, like, someone has to teach him how to hold, because just like offensive lineman, it's an art. You have to know how to do it. And he's and his that and his eyes at the top of the route. He's always looking at the quarterback. Top of the route, supposedly looking at where he should be in terms of the receiver, because he'll be on the body and he'll fill the route, but he'll look back at the quarterback and then pull. It's like, no, just stay on his hip and cover, because you're 6'2", because the ball can't be thrown through that frame. You know what I mean? So like he's one of those guys to me where, to your point, I think he's going to have a chance to move way up this year. Because now you've had a full year to see kind of what you put on tape, how teams see you, coaches there, everything to me is just kind of lined up for him to be one of those top 3 corners. When it's all said and done, like he's going to have a strong case because he's going to run fast, he's going to measure well. You know what I mean? Like he checks every box in terms of like what a GM wants in an NFL corner. Yeah, I didn't have too much to dislike about his game except for just his lack of detail at times, and that's me being very critical of these guys, because I wish I was 6'2", 200 pounds.
You watch him line up and he gets like really low in his stance, and you can just tell impressive. This guy has absolute arm length for days. What I find interesting about like we're so early in the process right now for this draft class, but it feels like Ashton Hampton is being overly criticized, and I'm watching Ashton Hampton. I'm not going to say names or anything, but there's other cornerbacks in our top 10 or outside our top 10 that are a little bit more highly praised. And I'm like, well, they don't have the size or length of him. And they also don't have the experience level of an Ashton Hampton. Hampton wasn't taken off the field like other guys, who aren't on my, aren't in my top 5. Right. Hampton was consistently out there on the field, making plays again. And I think this next year, like he's going to be their number 1 option. Whereas some of these other cornerbacks that some see as higher than Ashton Hampton, they might not even be their cornerback 1s on their teams. So I just kind of found it interesting how some people like, I'm not going to say names, but like Notre Dame, for example, Alabama, they have these superstar corners, but then it's like, they might not even be the best guy. And you look at the 2027 class, I think for Ashton Hampton, he is the best corner on that team and has legitimately some of the most untapped potential in this class. So I do find it interesting how he's not really getting the same amount of love as some of these other guys, but I'm glad that we can shed some light on him, because I think he is a fantastic player that, as of right now, I'm going to say it right now, last year's Chris Johnson, this is my guy of this year's draft class. This is somebody that I'm really going to buy in on and really hope that he can develop into being something, because I got 2 corners that I really like in this class. Ashton Hampton was one of those guys that I was like, I can't wait to talk about him because he's a great football player.
He's to me, he's one of those guys where, so like when you're talking about him being the best corner this year, he's really got to prove it, because he's CB1. Last year, Avion Terrell is getting, those tough matchups week in and week out.
Exactly.
So, he's going to have a chance to really solidify himself and prove himself as CB1 on that team. And like, to your point, you said it in the intro, that Clemson defense underachieved. Like, bro, look how many guys from Clemson we've talked about in this class and last class. They it's at least 7 or 8 guys.
TJ Parker, K Part, Will Heltz, Sammy Brown, Avion Terrell, Ashton Hampton. Their safeties are pretty good as well. I'm sure I'm missing
Peter Woods
as well. Peter Woods, right? Yeah, it's pretty criminal how bad the defense
they have 6, 7, 8 possibly like NFL draft picks on their defense, and they were not good for whatever reason. So Ashton Hampton, like, the reason I think people don't give him like the same praise as other guys is just because of the ball production. And like he was high up there on penalties. Like, so he, like, at this time of the year when everyone's, trying to be super scout in terms of like, crushing these dudes, that's what, people look for any and everything to crush these guys. But Ashton Hampton to me, he has as much upside as anybody in the draft class, because he's 6'2" and can run. He can flow, and he's not even trying. Like, long, easy stride, smooth hips. To me, a lot of his stuff comes down to just details. Because when he does it right, to your point earlier, it's pretty, it's beautiful. He makes plays. He has some moments where you're just like, what the hell? Why you don't have to do that.
Right.
Like that fade ball you're talking about, I watched that probably like 8 times. I just kept watching it. Like, what are you thinking. I just kept rewinding it. Just because I was trying to just figure out like what was going through his head at the moment. But no, he's a talented young man who has a lot of upside, I think. A lot of upside.
All right, y'all. Let us know in the comment section below. Ashton Hampton. Put him on your big boards. Watch his tape. Let us know down below your thoughts on him. If you guys did enjoy this clip, make sure you guys go check out our live shows. We do them 3 times a week where you can see our full videos, not just these cut ups, but full videos. Make sure you guys check them out. While you're there, hit that like and subscribe button. Have a good day.